Happy Monday, everybody! You're listening to the Personal Playlist Podcast, fondly referred to as the P3. I'm Noah Daniel.
Music is a world within itself, with a language we all understand, with an equal opportunity for all to sing, dance, and clap their hands.
I am so excited to have Roman Nowak here on the Personal Playlist Podcast. Roman is a teacher for the last 15 years, having taught a variety of subjects from grade 7 to grade 12. He's a passionate English language learning teacher, department chair, and leader for several years. Roman has transitioned to various roles from the classroom to student success coach and leader to specialist in the integration of technology in the classroom and is a coach to develop 21st century skills. He's the father of two, passionate about pedagogy, and researches strategies to increase student engagement and motivation. Roman has been a presenter and speaker at various conferences in Canada and the United States. He loves to collaborate with educators across the globe on various projects and is an active member on Twitter. Roman is the founder of the Build Hope EDU chat. His objective is to participate in the active changes in the education system through equity, hope, and student engagement. Welcome to the show, Roman.
Thank you so much for having me on.
It's my pleasure. We started to get to know each other kind of being tagged often in so many of the same places in Twitter. And it's always nice to know the people in your PLN. So how did you get started on Twitter and using it as the curation of an education space?
So it's funny. I think just like most people, I opened a Twitter account after a conference at one point, then sort of forgot about it. We're in so many million different things as a teacher. So I sort of brushed it aside. And then after hearing a keynote speaker when I was actually, I did a 3-year contract with the Ministry of Education with the government working on student success strategies. And we had a keynote speaker and talked about the power of Twitter, who pushed me, you know what, you should try it again. And then I tried it and then I stepped away. But then once, probably about 3 years ago, when I really started in Twitter, I just became hooked. And then Twitter chats. And now I've sort of been on this mission of posting a daily affirmation or a daily quote. And I'm nearing 3 years of posting at least one daily affirmation on Twitter and then interacting with others. So it's become sort of my go-to for news, for inspiration, for talk with teachers, and for meeting you. So it's been a great journey.
You know, I feel the same way in terms of inspiration, and especially at this time, being able to see affirmations out there and seeing how much hope is on the horizon in people's vision, in people's words, and in people's tweets has been really positive for me. I just had an incredible Zoom meeting with my students, and even though it's not something we had to do, it's something that I really wanted to do. And I shared with them a couple of the quotes that I've seen on Twitter and Instagram in the last few days, and they're going to be responding to them on their own time and not required, but just something that I thought would also help maintain momentum for them. Tell me about preparing your 3 songs for this show. I asked you to prepare a nostalgic song, one that reflects your identity, and one that picks you up, lifts you up, inspires or motivates. What was that like for you?
I thought it was a good time, especially in the midst of everything that we're going through. And even though it was spring break or March break for us, it got me to just pause, reflect, and especially when I was thinking nostalgic, going back to when I was younger and trying to think of, okay, well, which songs, which groups did I listen to, which songs really stuck to me. So I thought it was a great process just to reflect on them and then sort of have to zone in on, well, which ones also represent me. And so when I chose my 3, they're ones that have been sort of important in my life or still have some sort of importance now, and that I still find on playlists now on my iPhone, which back then we didn't have iPhones.
I've started actually making Spotify playlists, and my big plan for my 3rd year anniversary for the show coming up is to make a playlist of everybody's nostalgic identity and pick me up songs. So now that I've said it out loud, I've committed to it. Let's go.
So we'll keep watching.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, every anniversary has been special, but every recording of the show is special to me. And spending time getting to know each person through the songs is something that motivates me personally. And I know it motivates the people that listen to this show. So let's talk about that throwback song that takes you back to the bands that you like. How'd you come up with this one?
So that one, I was trying to go back, and I'm like, I don't have as many memories in elementary school. So like up until even grade 8, I'm thinking, okay, were there really songs that stuck to me? So this was more in high school, and it sort of became even a song that I used as I began my teaching career. So Good Riddance, or Time of Your Life by Green Day. First of all, I loved Green Day as a teenager. And so just there, I know it was one of the groups that I listened to a lot, but it was a song that was used a lot with graduations. And so even when I started my career, and I started at an elementary school, and so back then, grade 7s and 8s were still in a lot of the schools part of the elementary. So it was K to 8 in the schools. And so I was working with the grade 8s. And so as they were planning their graduation, we were choosing the song and doing reflections and doing slideshows to it. And so it became sort of for me a memory of high school, which high school for me was sort of my transformative years, as I came from this shy kid in elementary school to taking some drama classes and being part of school plays, which I never would have imagined, to now sort of doing theatrics in front of my students. So that song became sort of a representation of that turning point for me. And was it the full time of my life? I don't think so. I think I have other times in my life that I really appreciated more. But I think the fact that it was a turning point for me, it's a good reflection for me. And that song I've used it so often with students for different projects, or just for their own graduations, that it's been that sort of song when I hear on the radio, I'm like, oh man, I love that song. And so that one was almost an easy choice, but it was a great choice for me.
Okay, well, before we play it, I'm thinking about this fork in our road right now, and how many of us could turn one way or the other, and we all have choices that we can make. And I hope that even if this isn't the time of our life, that your throwback song is a good reminder that this is a time in our life to make decisions, and it is a turning point.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
So interesting to be recording this in this very different time, and in so many ways music is a way in and a way out for people, and it's a really pivotal moment to be able to capture the playlists of your life and the things that really motivate you. Your identity song introduced a new song to me, and I'm so happy that it did. Tell us a little bit about why this song reflects who you are.
So for identity, I went back, and so this was actually one of the main songs of the Atlanta Olympics, if I'm not mistaken, in 1996. Yeah, and so Gloria Estefan Reach, And so if you watch the music video, and I mean, music videos were so popular when we were younger, they're still sort of popular, but I don't think as much as they were when MTV was big and everything was big back when we were younger. But it's all filled with athletes. And so the message was to keep reaching, to try and reach for that medal and reach for those aspirations. But then I took it, and this was sort of, again, it was towards the end of my high school years. And it was sort of, what dreams am I reaching? What do I want to do with my life? And throughout the years, and again, it's on my playlist, still on my iPhone, I always put it as a reminder when I have dreams, when I have aspirations of what I want to do, where I want to go professionally, personally. I like to go back to that song and then just sort of zero in on, okay, what motivates me to do this? How can I keep going for it? And it sort of just picks me up, gives me that extra boost that I need, and not to forget about those dreams. So this was sort of an important song. And as the Olympics sort of drifted away after that, and every Olympics has their own song, I think some people forgot about it. But I think it was one of those songs that for me made such an impact as a teenager that it still sticks to my identity today.
But it also sounds like a lot like the things you put out there in the Twitterverse about making people's dreams come true and that positivity.
And I think it's important. When I started with Twitter, for me, I think it was more of a learning tool, and it sort of became a community. I've had the chance to meet so many people, participate in conferences through those Twitter connections. And I think having those dreams and reaching out for the impossible, for what you thought was impossible, I think it's super important. And so I try to keep that sentiment across the Twitter sphere as much as possible, because it's so important to me.
You know, it's almost ironic that today the news said that Canada has pulled out of the Olympics, and the Olympics probably will be postponed. And yet songs like this and people who have worked their whole lives for this reach, it reminds you to be grateful for the things that we have, because there's no other choice. And sometimes our reach is only for sanity. It's only to take on that one moment at a time, and making your dreams come true becomes, you know, a different dream than you had before.
And I think
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just with what you were saying, and I think especially in these times where we're talking about social distancing, and I'm thinking about my kids and even us, we don't see our friends. I mean, we're social beings. We work in schools. We see people all the time. And now we were supposed to go on a trip for the March break, and we canceled it before all this started to really amplify. But it's going to be, we're going to have to reach for different opportunities, reach with technology to keep those connections and keep dreaming, even though they're talking, we don't know how long this is going to go on for. It's going to change our lives, but let's not forget those dreams, and let's not keep trying to find those moments that are really going to bring joy to us.
Yeah, such a great point. And here's your identity song, Reach by Gloria Estefan.
Some dreams live on in time forever. Those dreams you want with all your heart, and I'll do whatever it takes.
these are times that really will put our spirits to the test. And so that last song becomes that song that you need when you need a pick-me-up and you need to be able to shift zones. How did you choose this song from your repertoire?
The last one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was, again, here, trying to remember. I mean, I've been trying to put positive energy out there and all that. And so this song was part of a movie that actually made a big impact on me. Funny because it's an animated movie. But since I've sort of restarted living certain movies with my kids as they grew up, so the movie is Trolls. And the song is Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake. And I think just the energy in that song, every time you're sort of feeling down, I've been in this teaching space where I try and always start my classes. So as we transition in between classes at the high school level, I always put on music and that, so it just creates an atmosphere. And so I always try and pep my students up. And this song became sort of one of those that I went back to regularly, because I think when you have that feeling of happiness, of joy, of gratitude, everything sort of sets the rest of the day into motion. And so I use this song sort of to bring up that energy, but to also focus more on what am I grateful for and how can I make other people joyful. And I think that is so important. And again, in these times where I think some people have a hard time finding joy, and as we sort of change the way we live, I think it's important to just sort of dance it out, have fun. And I mean, I will sometimes dance in my class, make a fool of myself, and it's all in the name of just loosening up, having fun, putting a smile on someone's face. And I think that is so important. So when I need to just add energy or dance it out or anything, I mean, Can't Stop the Feeling for me just becomes that song.
Not only do I love that movie, I know about almost like reliving music through animated movies. And even though this was new and Justin Timberlake actually wrote this for the film, it's so great to take his like grumpy gray blue character Branch and see positivity through music, and that sometimes music can shift your very nature and however grumbly you're feeling. And the video with James Corden and Anna Kendrick, it's so fun. But I think there's even another video with like people all over the world just kind of dancing, and I think both of those are vibes that are worth celebrating right now. Let's play your song. It's one of those songs that no matter how you are, what you're experiencing or how you're feeling, it's hard not to get excited about Can't Stop the Feeling.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up, no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop. And under the lights when everything goes, nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When we move, well, you already know. So just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance, dance, dance. Feel good, good creeping up on you. So just dance, dance, dance. Come on. All those things I shouldn't do, but you dance, dance, dance. And ain't nobody leaving soon, so keep dancing. I can't stop the feeling. So just dance, dance, dance. So just dance, 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 come on. Ooh, it's something magical. It's in the air, it's in my blood, it's rushing on. I don't need no reason, don't need control. I fly so high, no ceiling when I'm in my zone. Cause I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop, stop, stop. Under the lights when everything
funny when asked about the song, Justin Timberlake said, it's like I wanted to just write an unabashed pop song. And that's definitely what that is. Thanks to Michael Dresik, I actually have heard this song from the new Trolls movie that Justin Timberlake is putting out called Don't Slack. It is also super fun and joyful. How are you feeling about sharing your 3 songs?
I absolutely love it. I like the fact that I got the chance to reflect on those songs from the past that made such a big impact. But it's funny how songs and art in general have this power of not only bringing calm and reflection, but just positive thoughts out there. And so these songs, as much as back in the day in my life, especially the 2 first ones, had a specific meaning, as we go through this other part of our life right now, it still brings a different meaning and still has that same power as it did, let's say, 20, 25 years ago. So this was a great experience to sort of reflect and just think of what we're grateful for and where we want to go from here.
I think that it's an important time to pause. It's an important time to find joy. I hope that people can find their playlists, whether it's for hope or humor. I told my students today, you guys want to have a pandemic playlist? If that's what you need, let's do it. So music can be a source of great joy. And I'm glad that you shared your personal story and the songs that take you back, show a piece of who you are and pick you up. How can people find you?
So obviously the easiest place is on Twitter, and that's my last name, Nowak, Nowakro, on Twitter. And I'm also on Instagram. That's probably the second biggest platform. So that's just my name, Roman.Nowak on Instagram. And I do have a blog, which I think maybe during this pandemic, I'm going to sort of really start using a lot more, because as I got back into teaching, I think I've had to take a step back and focus on my students. So that's mrromannowak.wordpress.com. But if you go through Twitter, Instagram, those are probably the 2 biggest platforms that I focus on a daily basis.
Fantastic. Is there anything you want to add before I play you out?
I think it's just, let's just be there for each other. When I started Build Hope EDU, it was all about creating that sense of hope, but it's also creating community. And I think this is the perfect time to really show everyone what our communities are, who they are, what is at our core. And I think if we take care of each other, we will get through this, not only laughing and dancing, but shining for everyone else.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic day.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you for joining us on the P3, the Personal Playlist Podcast. I'm Noah Daniel. This is Voice Ed Radio, and I hope you have a fantastic day.